Hello from Emotica. My name is Irina Nurian, and today is a special day because usually I say labas vakaras, which is hello in Lithuanian, but today we will be talking in English. We have an English-speaking guest, and that's what we decided in Emotica to go to broaden our perspective. And sometimes you will be hearing us talking in Lithuanian, and sometimes you will be hearing us talking in English. So today I say hello to everybody, and the whole conversation will be in English. And as usual, just language changed, but this is as usual just a talk with an interesting person about important topic. And today I am very happy to have our guest Toufic. Hi, Toufic.
Hello, Irina.
If you have questions while listening, while hearing this conversation, please feel free to type them in the comment section, and we will see it, and we will definitely answer your questions or reflect on your comments. And now, Tufik, I see already wrote that you are from Turing College, but can you please say something like a little bit more about yourself? I always ask the guest to present who he is, so it's clear and it's presented the way the guest likes it to be presented.
All right. Well, thank you, Irina, first for this opportunity. I'm really looking forward for this exciting discussion. To wrap it up in a summarized way, I would just maybe go through the history of how I ended up doing what I do right now. My initial background is chemistry. I studied chemistry for my bachelor's degree in Lebanon. And then shortly after that, I started teaching chemistry in also in Beirut in Lebanon, which got me really interested into the education field in general. And then from there, having moved a couple of years later to Europe, I engaged in a research program of educational technology and innovative approach in research to education in the Center of Research and Interdisciplinarity in Paris. And during my studies, I was really interested in game-based learning and game design for education, which first was in a way an interest of seeing how different subjects could be introduced in a game where the learners or the players in this case could learn something out of it. But with time, I ended up working with a team of fellow researchers on how can we maybe in a way alter the approach of learners towards each other's on an interpersonal skills level, which
Mhm.
is partly like mostly soft skills when it comes to not only the person within the person and himself or herself, but the person also with the communication and their relations to other people. And this is what got me as a like this was I would say the first piece of the thread that got me into soft skills, and then from there I was exposed to the whole world of soft skills, and I went more into the details of it. And then having moved from Paris to Vilnius, I was looking around and meeting different people from the educational field up until I met the amazing team of Turing College, mainly the co-founders Lukas Kaminskis and Danas Shidlauskas, who actually we were in the beginning kind of trying to introduce each other's in a way where what is it that you do, what can you help with, how can you contribute here, how can you contribute there, and they had a lot of focus on their need of someone to work with them on the soft skills of the learners, given that the nature of what Turing College does is mainly like providing to the learners courses in data science.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, technical skills are not enough only to succeed and land a job and keep on growing in the career in general. So soft skills was the main, I would say, focus that I started engaging with them in my experience with Turing College, and then I ended up now being their career development coordinator, and I mainly and most Most of my time is spent with the learners on first being aware and learning what soft skills are, and then from there trying to find the personalized approaches for every different person on what are their needs when it comes to soft skills and how can they improve them, and ideally and ultimately finding a way of self-assessment, which I personally advise to be the best approach actually to assess one's soft skills. Though there are other ways, but I mostly foster and encourage self-assessment when it comes to that.
What do you mean by self-assessment? Like the person himself assessing his progress?
In a way, yes, that is what self-assessment is. But here, a very crucial point to keep in mind is that maybe what a, a person that wants to self-assess on their soft skills would need someone or a tool that would guide them through how to do that. Because in the big picture, when it comes to assessing soft skills, I would say there's no such thing as, yeah, okay, communication. I'm good in communication because I speak clearly, or I'm good in communication because I write really well. There are very well defined lists of quality behaviors that define, in a way, every different soft skill, and these behaviors for every skill go in a way from the easiest or the simplest. So let's say, for example, listening skills. It starts with not interrupting the other person that we're talking to, all the way to kind of listening critically beyond the way that the speaker is speaking, and then trying to see things objectively and try to critically think about different perspectives that might be out there. And in a way, reading about those cannot be something that, yeah, well, I read about it, now I know it, I'm sleeping, I wake up the next morning, and here I am, I'm a good listener now. It doesn't work that way. The self-assessment works in a way, having this little mindful and purposeful sound in the back of our minds, like, how am I doing with this given behavior? Let's say the simplest one, starting from ground zero and then going all the way up. To self-assess, it is very important to think about the behavior itself and try to think in a way, like, for us not to put it in numbers, we can think of it in a way about the frequency of how many times does it happen during a week. So let's say not interrupting someone else. We have to be, the most important thing to grow and self-assess is to be aware about oneself when it comes to that behavior. So let's say I'm talking to a group of people, and whether I disagreed with someone and I, for example, interrupted them because, oh no, this is not right, I believe the other way around, this is not true. Or let's say I got excited because I totally agree. I'm like, yeah, I can relate to that, and I jump in the conversation and the discussion. And in both cases, the result is the same. I believe the other person who was trying to make a point will feel to a certain extent uncomfortable or unpleasant about that. So a way to do it is just to remind ourselves, so how frequently did I do it? Am I rarely doing it? Am I doing it not at all? Am I sometimes doing it? Am I almost always doing it? And then from there alone, this awareness of where we stand towards this given behavior, we can intuitively become more prone to do it less if it's let's say a negative behavior, or more in case it's a quality behavior. And then the main goal, I would say, for someone who is aiming to improve their soft skills is to jump from first knowing what the behaviors are, then
Mhm.
adopting those behaviors. And again, really important to focus and emphasize on the fact that it starts from the easiest step, and then it grows from there to harder and harder steps, in a way where it becomes more complicated for us as human beings when it comes to the social aspect that's within it. And turn those behaviors from a purposeful act that we are doing to an actual habit that becomes automatic, such as someone who wants to start eating healthy, or someone that would like to start practicing sports. In the beginning, it would be like forceful, like, I have to do those 5 sit-ups in the morning. And then with time, it becomes like, yeah, I'm doing those 5 sit-ups. I would like to do 7 the next day. And then it becomes better and better with time in an intuitive way where if you do not do it in the morning, you will feel that there is something wrong. Now, I know it's just an analogy. Being an athlete or being a healthy eater is not completely related to soft skill, but it's an example that I tend to use in order to give context to how soft skills can be improved and worked on on an individual level when someone aims to improve in soft skills.
Yeah, that's a very nice analogy because soft skills are something that you cannot touch, you cannot really see, you cannot really assess very clearly. So we are looking for analogies to understand it better, because this area is something that is very sensitive, delicate. But you know what is really interesting? You are working at this moment mainly with people who are basically good at hard skills, right? Data science, programming, something like that, right? How much of your time in this college are you dedicating to soft skills development? Can you just approximately say, is it like 10%, 50? What importance do you put on soft skills?
Mm-hmm. Well, the thing is, from a learner's perspective, given that how in a way to think of it, how much time do they spend on improving their soft skills? Uh, I believe it's like there are two parts that I let the learners know of and the importance of each when it comes to the time. So the first one is actually joining the workshops. Let's say a workshop for time management, which comes in the beginning and would help them out throughout the whole course. And then from there, they engage in a communication workshop, in a growth mindset workshop, in a feedback culture workshop, and an adaptability workshop. And those are every like they go for 2 hours every 3 weeks at the moment within the learners of Turing College. And again, when it comes to the time that a learner has to spend on improving their soft skills, I would say usually as a like the best case scenario or the ideal scenario for someone who's working on improving their soft skills in parallel to a data science course, which is not an easy task to go through. Like, they are good at the technical skills, but also it needs a lot of time from them. But again, I would say 20 to 30 minutes a day as a self-reflection, or going through exercises, or just simply thinking about it and reading or watching a video about it, can really help the person improve. Because it's again, it's not like technical skills where the more time you spend at once, the better you get at it. It's not like we are learning some facts here. We are more trying to change ourselves to improve and get to the best version of ourselves that we could reach. So I believe that a distributed amount of time on a daily basis is better than having like 3 hours on a Saturday dedicated only for soft skills. It would be better to have 20 to 35 minutes a day as a self practice. And then from there, what is also it's very hard to define, I would say, because it's not a specific time that you have to spend. It's something that you just need to be aware of as your day is going. So let's say I read about speaking clearly to someone, and and then I went through some exercises about how can I make sure that I'm clear to someone else. And then the next day I go to work or I engage in a lecture, and then I have to speak at one moment. I could speak and then that's it, or I could speak with a little voice in the behind the back of my mind telling me that, am I being clear? What can I do about that? And then asking, am I clear? So and here could be a very like on point example. So was my answer clear to you, Irina? Or do you have any follow-up questions? This is a way I make sure that I'm being clear, and if I'm not, I'll at least get the follow-up question. And here is another example that is going live between us two. And I would like to actually ask it, like, was my answer clear, or is it a bit too abstract to understand?
It is clear to me, and I totally agree with you from that perspective that soft skills they need awareness and constant awareness. It's not something you can just dedicate one day and learn and finish with that. This as you mentioned before, it has to become a habit at some point. The purpose is to
Mhm.
make it a habit. Um, uh, what soft skills do you like underline in Turing College? You mentioned teamwork, communication. Something else that you have like as a main soft skills that
Mhm.
your students need?
Well, in general, I wouldn't say that there is one soft skill that is the most important
Mhm.
because looking at it in a personalized matter, every person or every learner have their own needs and they have their own points of strength and their own point of possible improvements. But in the big picture, I would say that the most good to be aware about soft skill and the one to work around is growth mindset,
Mhm.
is to keep up the pace, staying positive, staying motivated, finding ways of what to do next, purpose finding, and not only, yeah, I would like to become a great, I don't know, cordon bleu or a chef. How to do it? How am I going to do it? How am I going to chunk those down um, in a way where if ever I face a big challenge and it ends up being a failure, failure should be to myself and something that I believe in the whole educational field should be normalized. Failure should be something that is not even called failure. It's going from a mindset of no, it didn't work to a mindset of not yet. I need to work again on it or I have to try again.
Mm.
So I believe that because all of the other skills are mixed skills to me. Like teamwork has problem solving in it, problem solving has communication in it, communication has leadership in it. They all mixed skills. I don't think that one of them is completely detached from the other, unless it's the intrapersonal skill, the one that is between oneself and oneself, like between the person and themselves, in a way which is growth mindset in here, and not just believing as these are my skills, this is what I know so far, and this is what my life will be on a daily basis from now on. Especially for the people that are affiliated in the tech sphere or the IT sphere or data science in general, because if they do not keep up the pace, I mean, every 4 years, everything that we learn today might be completely changed, whether it's theoretical or even practical, it might be changed in the next 4 years. So we need to keep up the pace of non-stop learning. So to me, growth mindset and learning how to learn, because these
Mm.
are very, very personal skills and not like, of course, other people, when we need help, should be engaged. But I believe that those are the most intrapersonal, like between the person and themselves, as skills. So yeah, I focus a lot on growth mindset with them, and I I tend to not only present it theoretically when the time comes for it, but to actually give like practical and actionable cues for the learners to think about. Because in general, and again, I also don't like to use that terminology for it. I wouldn't say I teach soft skills. I'm more of a guidance and a facilitator of the knowledge around soft skills. And I believe the main point is to ask questions that usually a learner would not ask themselves. Be like, oh yeah, like what is this all about? And then once they think about it, they have this self-reflection. They might become a little bit more aware about it, and then comes in the role of tools and strategies, and then actionable steps, and then again turning the behavior into a habit.
Mm. Can you share a little bit, Tufik, about this assessment? Do you do you have some kind of a process helping students to assess their progress? Are you guiding them also somehow to help them understand where they are and where they're going with those, for
Mm-hmm.
example, growth mindset or leadership or whatever other soft skills.
Mm-hmm, definitely. So, no matter what the skill is, first comes the theoretical knowledge about it, like what it is, what are the different dimensions that define it, and what are in like under every dimension of it, the behaviors or the quality behaviors that should be
Mm.
adopted, and what are the negative behaviors that should be avoided. And from there, after going through the workshops that are actually not only like a lecture given, they are more of um, a discussive and interactive form of the workshops. And this is something that Turing College fosters a lot: peer-to-peer evaluation and peer-to-peer like uh, projects, working together, helping each other's. Like I have a question, I ask it, and someone will provide the help. And then later on, if someone has a question, whether it's a technical skill or a soft skill, when they have when they look at a question that's being asked and they know they can provide the help, then they have to jump at it. And this is what we foster also in our workshops. So this would be the first part. It's just getting exposed to what the soft skill is and what are the behaviors that define it. Then after that, there would be some practical exercises, very simple, more, I wouldn't say exercises more than actual just a self-reflection, going through the material of the workshop and thinking about like like let's say in teamwork, in which what are my main principles of collaboration for the person to understand oneself, and then maybe thinking what would be a principle of collaboration that would be the most difficult for me to engage with. And these again are just examples, and this would be kind of a preparation for the learners to get ready to a one-on-one meeting, and here where the guidance or the coaching would happen, or the mentorship would take place. It's it's a one-on-one meeting of 45 minutes up to an hour, where we would discuss with the predefined questions about those specific behaviors that I've already mentioned, that define a specific soft skill. And then depending on the learner's reflection, and here it's not an evaluation in any sort, more than a self-evaluation, as I've already mentioned. It's something that the like I asked the learner a question that is about the behavior itself, and to what extent do you see yourself doing that, whether it's purposefully or intuitively? Could you recall examples? Examples are really important, examples from the real life. Like, yeah, I believe I've done like that. Let's sharing resources with my team after having discovered a new article or a new tool, or no matter what that resource is, sharing it with my peers. A lot of people find them, take take advantage of them and use them for their own self. Some others just have the habit very naturally, without even knowing that this is a teamwork behavior. They
Mm.
share it with their peers or with their colleagues, and then it'd be like, "Oh my!" Like this, a lot of I get that with a lot of learners. It happens like, "Oh my, I'm actually really good at teamwork," without them knowing, because we tend to be a little bit hard on ourselves, and we criticize ourselves when it comes to soft skills, even technical skills in general. um, People don't have like always enough confidence about their skills, especially coming out from a traditional educational approach. So the self-assessment goes through these sets of predefined questions, and then depending on the answer of the learner, whether it's like, oh yeah, I do this, or yeah, well, here is a point where I don't think I'm good at, or I find it challenging. So let's say some people find it hard to reach out to others when they need help. They kind of put themselves under the pressure of, no, I have to fix it myself. I have to find the right answer, especially when it's not work, when it's learning, when it's a learning process. No, I have to do it myself. I have to find the right solution. Although sometimes asking for the help doesn't mean you're not going to learn it. The outcome of it is to learn it and not to get the right answer. And this is something that, for example, once, like, whether they're good at it means no need to practice it, but if they need the help, then they would need to practice it. And then this is for the progress point. And then when it comes to self-evaluation, it goes every 2 to 3 weeks as a reflective exercise between the learner and themselves, or the learner and the mentor, in case they feel like they don't really know to what extent they're doing better at it or not. we try to go together over the set of behaviors that were identified as behaviors that need to be improved. And then
Mm,
from there, so are you always doing that? Are you sometimes doing that? Are you not really doing that? Or are you finding it very challenging to start taking action towards this behavior and actually act upon it? And then from there, again, some resources could be shared with them, whether it's an article, it's a video, or a reflective exercise that they can work on in order to whether reduce the frequency of a bad habit or increase the frequency of a good habit that they want to work on. And then again, it's even a person themselves could be biased towards they want to believe that they're doing good, and this is why it needs a lot of questions and sub questions, also like follow-up questions, to make sure that the root cause of the challenge, where does it where does it stand, and then from there try to find a solution and work on it. Sometimes it's as easy as gaining a new perspective, and sometimes it's first learning how not to fall in the mistake, and then getting back up again on gaining the new behaviors or the good behaviors, so to say. In a way, you could just imagine it as a very difficult video game that you start playing. In the beginning, let's say it's a strategy game, a battle game, or anything like that. In the beginning, you have to learn how not to die in the game or not to lose, and then you can learn how to win over and triumph through the game. So in a way, some soft skills are like that, especially when it comes to sharing opinions or decision making within a group or within a team. A lot of people find it hard, and this is also another example, like, no, this idea is not good, and they don't even want to listen to it, while they have to learn that first and then learn to pitch in their ideas, and then maybe reach a point of great teamwork skills, where they do not only listen and do not only share their ideas, but try to maybe collaborate in a way to combine the good parts of both the ideas to get something new out there. And
mm,
again, the examples are infinite if we go through them. But when it comes to the assessment part, I believe that a constant and frequent, every 2 to 3 weeks, reviewing those behaviors is what helps the most in order to keep up the pace. Because again, one of the mistakes, and again here I say that because I've already shared that with you individually, Irina, and not with all of the audience today, but I'd like to mention it again, is that the quantification of soft skills was something that I spent a lot of time on trying to do, and it wasn't that easy. I believe it was a mistake because, again, it needs a lot of context, it needs a lot of an objective view, and it needs a lot of uh, I believe in a way it becomes dehumanizing at a certain point, where trying to put the soft skills in numbers, like you're at an 80% out of teamwork skills, you're at a 70% out of time management skills. Those are, I believe, first inaccurate, and second, they could bring a person down. But still, they could be represented in a quantified manner as an assessment. But this quantified manner should be perceived by both the evaluator and the person that is being evaluated, not as you are at a point like covering 70%. It's more about if 100% is your room for the soft skill, the 70 is where you stand, and the 30 is your room for improvement. In a way, it's just to keep up the pace, to go forward, and not feel like, this is all I can do and this is my grade. It's not like having a grade on a history exam or a grade on a statistics exam. So it's a bit, I would say it's a bit of a, again, mistake could also be a harsh word, but I would say an irrelevant approach to soft skills, at least so far, especially with what the research has on hand, and to the like the extent to which you can put soft skills in numbers. So when it comes to assessment, I believe, have a coach or have people that know what they're talking about with you to guide you and not to teach you anything, just to guide you. And then self-assess, reflect again on your own self and on your own progress. And one other important thing is reward yourself for the progress that you do. That's really important.
Yeah, that is an important point. Tufik, can you do you have any idea about like I know it's not easy to generalize everything, but it's very tempting for me to ask: do you see, while working with learners, with students every day, what is the biggest challenges for them? What are the biggest challenges for them in the soft skills area? Or
Mhm.
everybody's more like everybody's unique and there is no tendency here?
Um, well, it again, as I said before, it's a very personalized approach to improve them depending on every single human being or every single learner. In my case, with Turing College, so I have two different big parts that I would say it's challenging for the learners. Um, the first one is more challenging to me than for the learners, I would say, is those that find it hard to kind of be convinced about the importance of soft skills,
Mm-hmm.
or kind of wanting to jump, being impatient about getting to the career place. Well, soft skills are not only about showing that you're good at something, they're also about you getting to know yourself. So applying for a job, so as an example, do you want to apply for a job that is out there and that is good, or do you want to apply for a job that you will actually enjoy and want to be in it? And another challenge would be, and this is something that throws throws them off a lot, puts them out of their comfort zone, especially when it comes to the like final review before they get ready to actually have an inspirational job interview, or a simulated job interview, is that, so what is the soft skill that you would say you're best at? And a lot of them find it easy to say, like, oh yeah, definitely communication, because they're good speakers, they're good listeners, they redact text very clearly depending on the instructions that they want to give to someone else, or a description of a product, let's say. But again, when I ask them for examples, like, can you give me an example of, like, how can you back that up? They find it challenging,
Mm-hmm.
and this is what I focus a lot on right now with them, to actually work on it. So the assessment is not only about the frequency of the behavior, but it's also to point out at examples from your real life learning experience or working experience where you've used it, such as like time management. And I also say it to them in a funny way, just for them to understand how important it is to back up your soft skills, not only to other people or to interviewers, but to your own self, to understand how you can assess yourself when it comes to that. You cannot say I'm good at time management because I manage my time well. You cannot say I'm good at problem solving because I solve problems well. You should point out that a reason about, having read about it, giving some context to the dimensions that define that soft skill, and then maybe pointing out at one or two behaviors that fall into that dimension, and then talk about how they've used it in their real life. So, for example, let's say time management and productivity, how you can kill procrastination. There is a technique called Pomodoro technique. They can talk about it and say how they experimented with it, and then how with time they are now, it's a habit that they do on a daily basis, and they feel more productive since ever they started doing it. This is a way of first getting to really give yourself like the full badge of having mastered that behavior, and another way to kind of showcase it later on. Because let's say technical skills, we have a portfolio with our projects that you would show to the expert that is recruiting you, and they'll be like, oh, okay, they understand these are the kind of codes that they can work on. This is a data analysis approach that they use. They work on with this language. They work with another coding language here, and they can kind of assess them with their technical skills through their portfolio. When it comes to soft skills, their portfolio is actually those examples that they will have on hand, and they cannot create a portfolio with that. They have to have them in the back of their minds, and in a way have their own journal about it, write them down, type them down, keep track of why is it that I'm good at communication skills, let's say, or why is it that I'm good at leadership or creativity? Where are the examples that I can, and again, not only to prove it to other people, but to prove it to oneself and be able to self-assess in a non-biased way. Though again, if it's self-assessment, there always is some bias to a given level, but how to reduce this bias is to actually find examples from real life. And again, to go back to your question, which was what is challenging for them. Challenging for them to find those examples if they haven't had the chance to actually record them beforehand. And
Yeah.
this is how I discovered that now one of the newest things I'm working on is to, as they're going through the progress and as they are trying to adopt these behaviors, is to find examples from their real lives in order to mention those to themselves as a reminder and as a proof to their own selves, as yeah, I am good at this soft skill, or not yet because I need to make it more frequent, or maybe try to do it in a different way because it doesn't make me comfortable doing it. And especially when it comes to the people working in the IT world, generally speaking, and here not to stereotype in any kind of way, but they tend to be people that prefer working on their tasks and not mingling with a lot of people. So that is also something that like we try to push them to understand its importance and to baby steps, grow these behaviors around them in order to get better and self-reflect on them, unless by choice they just don't want to do that because they're completely uncomfortable. Then the self-assessment would be knowing oneself in a way where I'm a task completer more than a people's person in a way. And again, something I would like to add here is partly the 56 essential skills that were identified by McKinsey and company in their research, that are all about like what are the skills that will be needed in the future of citizens to thrive in the future of work and succeed. And out of these 56, there are, if I'm not mistaken, 11 digital skills, which are mainly technical,
Yeah.
and the 45 others are completely cognitive and interpersonal and soft skills in general, whether it's self leadership and self awareness, critical thinking, planning, and ways of working, all the way to interpersonal skills such as developing relationships and teamwork effectiveness. So, as important as digital skills are, I believe in like nowadays and in the near future, I believe that it's really important to keep up the pace with the with the soft skills, because otherwise it would be very challenging for people to adapt to new working environments. Especially that another analogy that I put it to my learners and to any person I'm trying to explain what soft skills are. They are in a way the skills that we cannot teach a machine or robot to have.
Mm.
Everything can be automated at this point or will be automated in the future, but I believe soft skills are part of what a robot cannot learn, such as not such as the same as athleticism, for example. It's part of our human part, I would say, what keeps us humans, whether it's the biology or the cognitive approach of interpersonal skills.
And I hear, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I hear from your talk that you are also experimenting, observing what works, what doesn't, and adding and changing the process, and like also looking for better and better and better ways to help learners grow this. Like train their growth mindset and work with their soft skills, right?
True, true. It's an ongoing process, and I think that it would never end. There will always be new ways. There will always be some new strategies and tactics to follow, and of course, because of its personalized approach when it comes to each learner by herself or by himself, it's a bit it's a bit of challenge to say there is one way or that is better or that doesn't work in general, because what might work for one person might be a complete challenge to another, and vice versa. So yeah, and again, what like in all of the examples I'm giving and all the approaches that I adopt, there's a given limitation, which is when we're talking about learners in general, is that we are talking about people, about a cohort of people that are learning data science. In this case, it might be different with a person that is learning I don't know, let's say global communication. In this case, it might be very different, or someone who's learning food and beverage mixology and being a bartender, then they might already have some of the approaches of being like a smiley face all the time. The customer has to be happy and all that. So those are the people that I'm not working with, at least not at the moment. But again, the challenges. Are always there, and this is what keeps up the motivation. Otherwise, it would seem too easy. Again, we have to find our stretch zone, to find our flow, and always set the goals or the changes that need to be conveyed or conducted in a way where they have to be not too easy to the point that they are boring, and not too difficult to the point that they are frustrating. So I guess this is what I keep on experimenting in a way with my learners, and so far it's been a beautiful journey.
Mhm.
Yes.
Thank you, Tofik. Uh, I have at this point, I feel like our conversation is kind of organically going towards the end, but I always want to ask the guest to give some kind of how to name it, like uh, wish to wish something for the people who are listening. What would be your wish? What would you wish for the people who are listening?
Um, well, from this discussion itself, I hope and I wish that I could maybe add some kind of awareness towards soft skills for those who are completely new to this subject, and something that I wish in general for people, whether they are in our audience or not, is um, to have this approach that I also already mentioned to failure, that it should be considered a very normal thing,
Mm.
because we are not bound by what we fail at. We are like, our skills are like, we are not defined by what we're not good at. We are defined by what we are good at. So in a way, keep up keep in mind that it's not a no, as I said, it's a not yet. And again, I would like to quote one of my favorite educators of nowadays, Sir Ken Robinson, says, if you're not ready to be wrong, then you will not come up with anything original. And I believe that in this case, you will never come up with anything original to your own self. So one of the most challenging things is to change our minds about something, especially when we bound to be very attached to our opinions. But do try to unlearn. I wish that to be a skill that all human beings will achieve to have at one point, to unlearn the things that we know, and then build up new perspectives and new opinions from there. And before jumping to I don't know, as it seems we're reaching the end here, are there any questions that the audience might have? Is there anything
Mm.
in the comment section, maybe?
Uh, I see the comment section. We don't have any questions, but if people would like to ask you something or reach out to you, can you please tell us where can we find you? Facebook,
Um,
LinkedIn?
Whether Facebook or LinkedIn, I'm flexible with that. LinkedIn would be best, I would say, for like any sort of curious questions about soft skills in general. But still, if someone prefers Facebook, I'm also flexible to that. No problem.
Okay, so feel free to contact Tufik if you have some further questions, discussions, proposals, or whatever ideas. Thank you again, Tufik, very much for this conversation. I wish you good luck, and I wish you not to ever lose this curiosity for looking for new things, for looking how to improve, for looking how to develop processes, programs, and also, of course, how to make sure that you also grow together with your learners. Thank you again.
Thank you for that last note. Sometimes I do tell the learners I learn from them way more than they learn from me because I'm one and they are too many. And again, sometimes even I find it challenging to adopt one of the behaviors that I push them or advise them to start having, and then I understand that yeah, it is not as easy as it seems. And again, something that I think about, they are soft skills, but they're not soft, they're hard, in a way, like they're not easy. But this is why I'd like to call them more of a transferable skills right now. And I would advise for all of those who don't know what these are, just check them out, understand their importance, be aware of them, and if any questions arise, I'm here to share any insights or resources that I might have. And thank you, Irina, for this really nice opportunity and fun discussion. Very organic and very, I would say, flowing, and just going with whatever curiosity leads to.
Thank you, Tufik, and thank you everybody who are listening or will be listening later. And I will see you, and you will see me on our next talks. And Tufik, I hope to see you and meet you live. Somewhere, somehow. I'm sure.
Why
Business
not?
is very small. We will
Sure.
have opportunities to meet. So thank you again, and have a nice evening.
You too. Bye bye, Irina.